don't come from us. Certainly we've had input in them, and Craig has too. They come from you, they come from all of our other members. They come from blogs, from demonstrations, from comments on TV, from problems that the country is facing. And we've had a high regard for our members to make sure that we can reflect how they're feeling. So there may have been things today that Craig said in his speech that you hadn't thought about before. But suddenly you said, well, yeah, that's right. Because all of these things come back to the government trying to limit your freedom and take from you your independence and to destroy our country. Right? So it's a great privilege for me to be able to do all that I can for our nation and to have Craig do that too. Right? And you may not know this, but we've got a team of 20 lawyers that have been working tirelessly the last 6 months in the Supreme Court of Queensland. And every time we've seen a restriction lifted, it was lifted because the trial was on the next day and they knew we were going to beat them. The sad thing is, we couldn't do that in every state. And we're still fighting for nurses and teachers, and that's coming up next week. But regardless of how we go in politics, we won't give in and we won't back down. And we're with the Australian people. And I am anyway for as long as I'm alive, right? Yeah. And I know Craig Kelly's the same, you know, that we really think this is fair dinkum. You know, I gave up with politics, you know, in 2016. I promised my wife I'd never get involved in anything like this again. You know? And fortunately she stayed married to me, not like Albo's wife. You know? I shouldn't say this, but I do think of nasty things we can do to them. And I was interviewed on that wonderful radio program, ABC National. And they asked me what I thought about the Leader of the Opposition. Well, I said, well, I've never met him. I said, but I take a lot of notice about the people that are close around him for the longest time. And they said, who's that? I said, his wife, she's divorced him. The ABC being the ABC, that sort of finished the interview very quickly. But really, we're a party that's based on faith. Right? We're based on faith between each other. That there's a bond between Craig Kelly, between you, between our members that we've got in South Australia and Tasmania and Western Australia, that they're all like us, just normal people wanting to do all they can to protect their freedom and their country. And it's not my fault that I'm a billionaire, so I don't want you to hold it against me. But it does mean that we can fight the Liberal and Labor Party on the same grounds. You know? It does mean that the press may not report our comments, but we can blow them out of the water with advertising. Right? It does mean that at the moment we've got every political party in Australia running our preferences, right? From all sides of government, right? But with our preferences, because you hear it all the time, in the Senate, you don't have to number every square, you've only got number 6. Liberal, Labor and the Greens will all be thrown out. They won't be numbered at all, because they're all as bad as each other. Right? And in the House of Reps, you've got a number every square, or it's an invalid vote. But Liberal, Labor, Greens will be at the very bottom of our ticket, right? And I can say tonight, if the ABC is listening, that the Greens will be last. And the order that there's Liberal and Labor and how that goes will depend on a couple of things. First of all, who are the candidates? Did they stand up for Australia and for you when they needed to? There are people like Lou O'Brien and the Liberal Party that crossed the floor with Craig. There are people like George Christensen when he helped nominate the bill. There are Liberal senators that took a brave stand. But there was no one from the Labor Party that did anything except Dan Andrews. He locked everyone down for a world record time. And in the next edition of the Genesis Book of Records, there he'll be, the meanest premier in the world. And Mark McGowan said that, what did he say? He said, I'm an enemy of the state, right? I'm a traitor, all those nice things. And I sued him for defamation. Now, the lawyers said don't sue him for defamation, it'll cost you millions of dollars, and even if you win, you only get about 20,000. I said, I sue the bastard, right? And when we had him in court, and we cross-examined him, right, we got all the documents from the Chief Medical Officer, and we found out that his advice was not to lock down Western Australia. Mark McGowan had lied to the West Australian people, and we're able to expose him for who he is. Right? We're able to have the Attorney General of Western Australia give his evidence and then come back to the judge and say, I lied, I want to change it. Right? And they said he couldn't change it, he had to stick with it. Right? So we'll get a victory then, and it was important because Mark McGowan's rating has gone from 87% to 52% in Western Australia. But the United Australia Party has done that. Right? And tonight, with us, you would have seen James McDonald on stage today as he introduced me. James is our #1 Senate candidate for Western Australia, but McGowan won't let him in the state. They won't let him return to his home because he's standing for you and the United Australia Party. That's why. But our supporters in WA, we've got a great group of people that are sticking with James no matter what against McGowan. And I'm sure he'll be elected to the Senate, so they can really stick it up. So now I've found my wife and kids, right, which is a good thing. It's always difficult when you lose your wife and kids, you don't know where they are, so you worry about them all the time, you know. But I've found them, so now I'm happy. But I hope all you people are happy. Are you happy? Yeah! And what happened today, you remember our song, that's our kind of party, the United Australia Party. That's my kind of party. You remember that? When that came on in the video after about an hour, that showed the middle of our program. And everything from then on, we were filming with 6 cameras, we didn't tell you, but that's going to be broadcast on Channel O after MasterChef on a Monday or Wednesday or Tuesday of the election for the whole hour. Right? And not only will it be broadcast on Channel 10, on the Sunday, Channel 7 will broadcast it on its main station at 4:32. And not only that, Channel 9's broadcasting on one of their digital channels. Right? So that'll make Barnaby Joyce very happy. As you know, I was a life member of the Liberal National Party for many years. I was their party spokesman. I ran a lot of their national campaigns. That's how I know what to do. And Barnaby rang up a close friend of mine and he said, you know, this United Australia Party, they've got 400 signs in my electorate, you know. You can talk to Clive, can you tell him to do something about it? So he rang me up and said, oh mate, it's a bit much, you've got 400 bloody signs. Poor Barnaby's got 35 children and 72 wives. He doesn't know. You've got to help him a little bit, mate. You've got to have a bit of sympathy for him. And I said, I'll leave it to me, I'll do something about it. I got straight on the phone to Andrew Crook, who runs our billboards, and said, put another 200 in there! So now our signs have had children. We've got 600 signs against Barnaby, right? Because he's my sort of guy. Huh? But you've got to hand it to Barnaby. He told the truth about Morrison. He said he was a supplicant and a tyrant and all those sort of things, didn't he? He did tell us the truth, but then of course he gave up all his morals and joined him. So, you know, that's what he's like. But anyway, so we've got a massive advertising campaign ahead of us. What you've seen so far is about half the intensity of what it will be in the next 3 weeks. Right? And we'll be focused on the 3 policies we announced today, the main ones, which is to bring back the super, freeze home loan rates at 3%, and pay off our debt. Get the Chinese to pay our debt off. That sounds good to me. Because they're the policies the country needs. And they're the problems and the policies the country needs. And the Liberal Party and the Labor Party and the National Party and the Greens don't care. They just care about them getting re-elected and getting their salary. You know? When I was in Parliament, I gave all my salary to charity. But you need people in Parliament that care about the country and care about you. And Craig Kelly's got a big heart. He looks like a tough guy, but he's a softie really, and he loves every one of you. Right? He actually loves you. There's not many politicians that talk about love because they're mongrels and unhappy, and we're all happy. That's what we don't want to be like them. We want to be happy, right? Isn't this a great launch? Is that ready? Isn't this a great band? Don't you? Where are they going? Where's the band going? Oh, over there. Oh, they're playing next door. Well, when they come back, I want to get them to play for you. Yeah, we're not gonna take it. No, we're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. Ozzy's not gonna cop it. Ozzy's not gonna cop it. Ozzy's not gonna cop it anymore.
Clive, Craig Kelly. We are at the national launch on the Sunshine Coast. And wow, what a day it's been. About 1,200 people here. Massive launch. This is a stand for freedom. It's a stand for our sovereignty. It's a stand for Australia. Hope you enjoyed that. Here's to having your vote count. If you're sick of what's happened in Australia in the last 2 years, then I suggest put Liberal, Labor and Greens at the bottom of your vote card and vote for United Australia Party and the Freedom Parties. The Freedom Parties is where it's at. Here's having your vote count if you're a stand for freedom and you're sick of all the rubbish that's been going on in this country the last 2 years. Time to have your vote count. Here we go. It's all happening. Amazing day here today. Makes me proud to be Australian to see so many people standing up for freedom. Standing up for freedom. How can we ever trust Liberal, Labor or the Greens again? We can't. And if you want much of the same, more lockdowns and more crap, more limits of our freedom, and if you want to see us selling out to overseas, then just vote like you've always voted, potentially for Liberal, Labor and Greens. Those who are in the know are voting United Australia Party and for the Freedom Parties. We're putting them at the top of our cards. So let's see what Aussies are going to do at this next election. Let's just see. Question everything, my friends, question everything. Understand the truth, for freedom, for our sovereignty, to save Australia. And this is what it's all about. So congratulations to everyone who is a stand for our freedom and for the freedom parties. Thanks so much for joining me today. Alden Altenay signing out here from the Sunshine Coast for the national launch of the United Australia Party. Alright, have a beautiful Easter and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.